I'll be speaking about loving and how there is self-love and love for outside. So there are three parts to this. The first is I'm going to speak about the practices within the construct of the yoga lineages, which include Yamas and Niyamas. At the Kripalu Center, they have a wellness center upstate New York. They run a lot of programs, and I was exposed to one once where we really went through it in detail, and it had a big impact on me. And so you might want to see where it speaks to you. So first of all, I'm going to talk about this with using affirmation. So the first one is Yamas. Yamas are kind of like how we look at the outside world. But before we do that, I'm going to bring in Niyamas, where how we care in the inside world. So ahimsa means nonviolence, and so I focus on nonviolence in the world. Satya is truthfulness. I'm using the affirmation I focus on. I focus on truthfulness in the world. Asteya means non-stealing. I focus on non-stealing in the world. Brahmacharya is moderation or abstinence. So moderation of the senses or right use of energy. And so I focus on right use of energy, moderation of the senses, or abstinence in the world. Aparigraha is non-greed. I focus on non-greed in the world. And what does that really mean? That really means that I see where I fit into the world and how I am also part of the world, and that I need to be not greedy, and also by focusing on not greedy. That's how we cultivate into that beginner's mind. And then there's the niyamas, which are internal. So Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender. I've heard that teachers say surrender or get dragged by something. So surrender the ties that bind, or you're going to get bound and dragged. Saucha means like purity. Some say cleanliness. It's not physically clean. It's that quality of being. Santosha, contentment. I focus on contentment in myself. I focus on purity in myself. I focus on surrender in myself. Svadhyaya is self-study or inner exploration. I focus on self-study and inner exploration. Tapas is self-discipline and sense training. So I focus on sense training and self-discipline in myself. And I bring this up to say that these are qualities of harmony. So what are some ways that I could bring, or balance? Where can I bring in more balance and harmony for the sake of sustainability and everlasting? And so I personally am looking at Saucha in my friendships and my company. Saucha is purity, the people that I associate with. Another one is aparigraha, which is non-greed with money or food or resources, by how I find it. How do I earn it? How much is there available, and how much do I need from what's being offered? Or does someone offer and then I want something different, so I say no, but then I think I have a right to ask for the other thing? And Satya is truthfulness. I like to practice Satya in silence and pausing versus reacting or unhealthy words. Then there's ahimsa, which is nonviolence. For me, that means maintaining my practices of not smoking cigarettes, not eating meat. That's some ways in which I can practice. And then in the book Siddhartha, if anybody would like to read it, I highly recommend it. Excellent book. I read each chapter by itself each day, and they're very digestible, maybe less than 10 pages each, and so moving. And there was a little portion on the art of love, and I'm going to speak almost like the silhouettes, like of how it was presented in the book. Smooth, gentle hand. One cannot have pleasure without giving it. Every gesture, caress, touch, glance, every single part of the body is a secret which can give pleasure to one who understands. Lovers should not separate after making love without admiring each other, without being conquered and conquering. So no satiation or desolation arises, a horrid feeling of misusing or being misused. Supple as a jaguar and a hunter's bow, learning pleasures, learning secrets, repulsing, playing, overwhelming, conquering and rejoicing in mastery. And that's the art of love. And that's, to me, very interesting because I think it can be moved out of this physical and into the yamas and niyamas and into that kind of the relationship between the other and the other of the self. So there's that self we can care for. If we can care for it, it doesn't seem exactly like the one who's the carer. So the inner caree, like the one who's being cared for, the caree, the recipient of the care, is when we practice niyama. And when we have someone outside of us, or beings or life outside, or God, or whoever evokes the care, would be yamas. And so there are some areas in me I don't accept, and it makes it very difficult to accept outside of me. So these are some parts of me, and I'm just going to read them, and I encourage you to write a list if you want, of areas in which you don't accept. You just pause the video, write the list, and then we can connect on it. If you want to listen to me say mine. Dancer moves, singer voice, athletic, enduring, boundary-breaking competitor, a businesswoman, manager, fundraiser, the part of me that wants to be dominated, seduced, and massaged. And when I say this, it's because I'm integrating them, I'm accepting them. But in order to see these shadows, I have to go and look. So when you're able to write them down, the shadow has come to light. So it may be even shadows from last year. I can't say that all of these are relevant now. It's not such a brilliant overnight experience. I suggest that you write some down, and they may be ones that are last year. They're still integrating. They're still becoming normalized and not orphaned. Needing reassurance, encouragement, reward. A violent, unrestrained, angry part. Or the hippie, sloppy, messy, animal, free spirit one. Or the injured, disabled, pained, struggling, sickness one. Or the annoying, controlling, pushy, forceful type A personality. Or the stalker, obsessive, attached, hopelessly unrequited lover. The entitled, snobby, bratty, spoiled, needy victim part. Or the stingy, greedy, bottomless pit drama, petty taker. Or the power-hungry, masculine, aggressive winner. Or the over-talking and loud and taking up all the space. Or being a preacher and know-it-all expert. Or the awkward, socially anxious, craving approval one. Or the weird and gross and creepy and inappropriate one. And finally, the queen, the cold-hearted, aloof, magical goddess one. Now, why did I do this? Is because these are not versions of me, necessarily. These are versions that were not accepted of me. So if I would break this up into all the people I've ever been exposed to who refuse to accept these parts, I have become, indented in all these ways, told to be someone different, directly or indirectly, because Yama wasn't available. There was violence against me, or dishonesty, or stealing, or greed, or overindulgence, and so these came out, and then I wasn't taught to surrender, or to stay pure, or to be content, or to study myself, or explore inside of me, or have the self-discipline, or train myself. There was so much pain when I was rejected, discarded, abandoned for being, even for just one moment, this role in someone else's story. So clearly it's really important to love all these different shadows, because they're really versions of also other people that I'll meet, or I have met, or that take up space in people, because there's collective shadow too. Many of these things people don't want to be. Many of these things I was taught make me bad or unlovable. So in learning to love, and the art of love, beyond just the physical form, but that's a good place to start if that's where you're at. If you're learning how to love someone's body fully, it does require all these components of practicing ahimsa, nonviolence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, not stealing, brahmacharya, moderation or abstinence, aparigraha, non-greed, and then internally, ishvara, pranidhana, surrender, saucha, purity, santosha, contentment, svadhyaya, self-study or inner exploration, and tapas, which is self-discipline and sense training. So the art or the practice of love and care. Wishing you all, whatever area you have a shadow, that the light shines there. Thank you.